There's a moment most of us hit, usually late at night, usually when we're finally alone, when the story in our head goes something like this. How could they do that to me? It's a simple question, but it can trap you for months, sometimes years. And it doesn't come from nothing. It comes from a real cut, a real moment, a sentence that landed like a punch, a look that made you feel small, a betrayal that rearranged your idea of safety. When you're in that place, it's easy to believe the pain is a private room only you are sitting in. It's easy to forget that other people are carrying their own bruises too. Not because your pain isn't valid, but because pain does this weird thing. It zooms the camera in until the whole world is only the wound. But here's the part that makes it even harder. A lot of people who are wounded don't just heal quietly. They bleed on other people. They take their unprocessed hurt and turn it into sharpness. They take their fear and turn it into control. They take their shame and turn it into blame. And in their own inner movie, they're never the villain. They're the hero who had to do what they had to do. They're the victim who finally stood up for themselves. They're the person who was pushed too far. So when you say, "You hurt me," they hear, "You're the bad guy." And the defense system comes online instantly. They rewrite the timeline. They edit the facts. They highlight your reaction and erase their action. And suddenly, you're not just wounded, you're confused. Because you remember what happened. You remember the words. You remember the tone. You remember how your body felt, how your stomach dropped, how your throat closed, how your mind went blank. But you also remember the way they looked at you like you were being dramatic, like you were making it up, like you were the problem. That's when it becomes more than pain. It becomes a kind of psychological quicksand. The harder you fight to be understood, the deeper you sink. I want to say something gently, but clearly, not everyone is capable of honest reflection. Some people would rather protect their self-image than tell the truth. Some people would rather feel right than make it right. Some people would rather win the moment than keep the relationship. And if you've been on the receiving end of that, it can do a number on you. Because there are wounds that don't heal cleanly, when there's no acknowledgement, when there's no apology, when there's no basic human recognition of, yeah, I crossed a line. We tend to think closure comes from the other person, from them finally saying the perfect sentence, from them understanding, from them feeling regret. But a painful truth is that some people will never give you that. Not because you didn't explain it well enough, not because you didn't love them enough, not because you didn't try hard enough. They just can't go there. And then what? Then you're left holding two realities at once. One, you were hurt deeply. Two, you may never get the kind of justice you want. This is where a lot of people get stuck. Because we're wired to seek meaning and fairness. We want the universe to balance the scales. We want the person who harmed us to feel the weight of what they did. And sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they move on, posting happy photos, laughing with friends, sleeping peacefully while you're still waking up with that sentence in your chest. That's the part that makes you feel like you can't recover. Not just the wound, but the unfairness of it. So let's talk about a word people throw around in this situation. One that often feels impossible. Forgiveness. When you're really hurt, forgiveness can sound like betrayal. like you're being asked to pretend it didn't matter, like you're being asked to let them off the hook, like you're being told to be the bigger person while your insides are still on fire. If that's what forgiveness means, I don't want it either. But forgiveness, in its healthiest form, isn't a gift you hand to someone who didn't earn it. It's a rope you drop so you can stop holding yourself in place. Forgiveness doesn't have to mean reconnection. It doesn't have to mean trust. It doesn't have to mean access. It can simply mean, I'm not letting this take up permanent residence inside me. Because that's the hidden cost of being hurt by someone who won't take responsibility. They don't just hurt you once, they keep hurting you through the replay. Your mind becomes a courtroom. Your thoughts become closing arguments. Your nervous system becomes a smoke alarm that never turns off. You replay conversations in the shower. You rewrite your response while driving. You imagine the moment you finally say the perfect thing that makes them understand. And even if they never hear it, you keep performing it in your head, hoping the performance will release you. It doesn't. It just exhausts you. The truth is, you can understand your way into a trap. You can analyze yourself into paralysis. You can think and think and think and still not feel free. Because this isn't only a story problem, it's a safety problem. When someone hurts you deeply, your body remembers. Your body learns, this is what danger feels like. And even when the person is gone, your system stays alert, scanning for signs, anticipating the next hit, bracing for impact. That's why you can know, logically, that you should let go and still feel like you can't. You're not weak. You're not broken. You're not failing at healing. You're having a normal nervous system response to a real experience. So if you want to get out, the first step isn't always confronting them. It isn't always explaining one more time. It isn't always chasing closure. Sometimes the first step is something much quieter. You stop getting hurt again. You stop giving them new chances to reopen the wound. You stop stepping into the same conversation that always ends with you feeling small. You stop walking into the same room where you know you'll be blamed for being human. And yes, some people will call that running. But there's a difference between running and protecting. Running is when you avoid reality. Protecting is when you refuse more damage. Running keeps you in fear. Protecting builds your self-respect. Running is reactive. Protecting is a decision. Sometimes silence is not avoidance. Sometimes silence is boundaries. Sometimes distance is not punishment. Sometimes distance is peace. We need to normalize this. Choosing to disengage is not always immaturity. It can be wisdom. It can be the moment you finally say to yourself, I am not available for this anymore. Because here's another hard truth. Some people will never meet you in the middle. They will meet you only in a fight. They don't do mutual understanding. They do winning. They don't do repair. They do denial. They don't do accountability. They do counter-accusations. If you keep showing up to that dynamic, you will keep getting hurt. So maybe the bravest thing is not another conversation. Maybe the bravest thing is the quiet act of leaving the arena. Leaving doesn't always mean cutting someone off dramatically. Sometimes it's smaller. It's not responding immediately. It's not explaining yourself for the 10th time. It's not giving them the emotional access they haven't earned. It's you stepping back and saying, I'm going to spend my energy on my life, not on this loop. And that can feel like loss. Even if the person wasn't good for you, stepping back can feel like grief, because you're grieving what you wanted it to be. You're grieving who you hoped they were. You're grieving the version of the relationship where you were safe. That grief is real, and it deserves tenderness, not judgment. One of the reasons we struggle to let go is because we confuse letting go with erasing. Letting go is not erasing the past. It's not pretending it was fine. It's not deleting the meaning. Letting go is changing your relationship to the past so it doesn't control the present. It's saying, that happened. It hurt. And it will not be the thing that defines my future. But again, this is easier said than done, especially if the damage was deep. If someone's words made you question your worth, if someone's actions made you doubt your sanity, if someone's betrayal made your world feel unsafe, those are not paper cuts. Those are injuries, and injuries require care. So what does care look like when the other person won't own their part? It looks like you owning yours. Not in the sense of taking blame, not in the sense of minimizing what they did, but in the sense of taking back your agency. Agency is the ability to say, I can't control what they did, but I can control what happens next. Here are a few ways that can look simple, but not easy. First, name the truth briefly. Not a whole essay, not a court case. 1 or 2 sentences you can return to when your mind starts spiraling. They said what they said. They did what they did. It hurt me. That's it. Your mind will want to add, and here's why it's unfair, and here's why they're wrong, and here's how I should have responded. And sometimes you can process those things, but not in a way that keeps you stuck. Start with a simple truth. Let it be enough. Second, return responsibility to the right place. If they were cruel, that's theirs. If they were dishonest, that's theirs. If they couldn't handle their emotions and made you pay for it, that's theirs. You don't have to carry their unfinished emotional work. You don't have to become the storage unit for their shame. You can understand their pain and still refuse their behavior. Empathy does not require access. Compassion does not require closeness. Understanding does not require tolerance. Third, set a boundary that protects your nervous system. For some people, that's no contact. For others, it's limited contact. For others, it's contact with guardrails. Maybe the boundary is, I won't discuss this with you anymore. Maybe the boundary is, I won't answer messages after 8 p.m. Maybe the boundary is, I will not stay in conversations where I'm being insulted. A boundary is not a punishment. It's a policy. It's you saying, this is the condition under which I can stay regulated. And if someone refuses to respect your boundary, they're not refusing a rule, they're refusing your humanity. Fourth, stop feeding the replay with new input. This part is huge. We think we're searching for closure when we keep checking their social media. We think we're searching for answers when we reread old messages. We think we're searching for peace when we keep poking the bruise. But we're actually keeping the nervous system activated. If you want relief, you have to reduce triggers. Not forever, just long enough for your system to calm down. There's no shame in that. There's no honor in staying inflamed. Fifth, give your emotions a safe way out. When people say, I can't get over it, what they often mean is, I can't stop feeling it. And that's because feelings don't disappear through suppression. They disappear through completion. Completion can be crying. It can be shaking. It can be writing a letter you never send. It can be talking to a friend who doesn't interrupt you. It can be therapy. It can be exercise. It can be breath work. It can be prayer. It can be sitting in your car and letting the anger move through you without turning it into self-hate. Your emotions are not the enemy. They're signals. They're evidence. They're your system trying to protect you. The goal isn't to stop feeling. The goal is to stop living inside the feeling. And this brings us back to forgiveness, because forgiveness in practice often looks like one small choice repeated, not a single dramatic moment, not a spiritual epiphany, not a perfect inner peace. Just a repeated decision. I'm not going to keep this run in my life. Sometimes that decision sounds like a quiet sentence you say to yourself when the memory shows up. I already know what happened. I don't need to solve it again. I choose peace over replay. And yes, the memory will come back. That's normal. Healing is not linear. But each time it comes back, you have a chance to respond differently, not by pushing it away, but by acknowledging it and returning to the present. This is a memory. This is an old danger signal. I am safe right now. It sounds almost too simple, but your body learns through repetition. Your nervous system needs to hear again and again, we're not there anymore. And slowly the intensity drops. Slowly your mind stops treating the past like an emergency. One more thing that helps is this. Redefine what justice looks like. We often think justice means the other person admitting they were wrong. But in real life, justice sometimes looks like you getting your life back. Justice looks like sleeping through the night. Justice looks like laughing without guilt. Justice looks like not flinching when your phone buzzes. Justice looks like not needing them to validate your reality. Justice looks like you no longer bending yourself into shapes just to keep someone from being upset. Justice looks like you choosing yourself not in an angry way, not in a revenge way, but in a calm, grounded way. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. You don't have to force yourself into good vibes. You don't have to rush your healing. You don't have to pretend you're fine. You just have to take one step that reduces harm. Maybe today that step is silence. Maybe today that step is distance. Maybe today that step is blocking a number. Maybe today that step is not replying. Maybe today that step is unfollowing. Maybe today that step is eating something, drinking water, and going to bed early. Small steps count when you're rebuilding safety, because that's what you're really doing. You're not just trying to get over someone, you're trying to rebuild your sense of safety in the world. And that takes time. It takes compassion. It takes honesty. It takes boundaries that other people might misunderstand. But here's the thing. The people who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always call your boundaries selfish. Let them. You are not here to be an emotional dumping ground. You are not here to be someone else's punching bag. You are not here to be proof that they're still a good person. You are here to live. You are here to be whole. So if you're learning silence, let it be the kind of silence that protects you, not the kind that punishes someone else. If you're creating distance, let it be the kind of distance that restores you, not the kind that keeps you stuck in bitterness. And if you're moving toward forgiveness, let it be the kind of forgiveness that frees you, not the kind that minimizes what happened. You can forgive and still never go back. You can forgive and still say, I don't trust you. You can forgive and still choose a life that doesn't include the people who harmed you. Forgiveness is not an open door. It's a closed loop. It's you ending the argument inside yourself. And the way you end it isn't by proving you were right. It's by deciding you're done paying for what someone else refused to heal. There's also a subtle distinction worth naming because it matters. Silence can be used as a weapon, or it can be used as shelter. Some people go silent to punish, to control, to make the other person chase them, to create anxiety on purpose. That kind of silence is not healing, it's manipulation. But the silence we're talking about is different. This silence is you refusing to participate in chaos. This silence is you stepping away before you say something you'll regret. This silence is you realizing, I can't reason with someone who's committed to misunderstanding me. That's not cold, that's clarity. And clarity is often the first form of kindness you offer yourself. Because when you've been hurt, your instinct might be to chase resolution at any cost, to send the long message, to over-explain, to gather evidence, to make your case airtight. But healing isn't a debate you win. Healing is a state you return to. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is to stop giving your energy to the same dead-end conversation. Another layer people rarely talk about is self-forgiveness. When we're harmed, we don't just grieve what happened. We often shame ourselves for not seeing it coming. How did I miss the red flags? Why did I stay so long? Why did I trust them? Why did I let myself be treated like that? If you're carrying that kind of self-blame, it can keep you tethered to the pain just as much as the person who hurt you. So here's a thought that might soften something in you. You didn't choose your wound. You chose what you could with the information you had at the time. You loved the way you knew how to love. You tried to make sense of someone who wasn't being honest with you or with themselves. That doesn't make you foolish. It makes you human. And the moment you stop attacking yourself for being human, you create room for real healing. A practical way to start is to build a small, closing ritual for your mind. Nothing dramatic, just something consistent. When you feel the replay starting, you can do 3 things. 1, name it. This is the loop. 2, ground yourself. Feel your feet. Notice your breath. Look around and name a few ordinary objects, your mug, your keys, the light on the wall. 3, redirect with intention. I'm going to do one thing that helps me now. That one thing can be tiny. A shower, a walk, a glass of water, a song that steadies you, 10 minutes of cleaning a corner of your space. You're teaching your brain a new pattern. The past can knock, but it doesn't get to move in. And over time, your life starts to fill back up. Not with noise, with substance, with friendships that feel safe, with routines that soothe your body, with work that gives you dignity, with quiet mornings where your mind isn't at war. That's how you know you're not just over it, you're beyond it. One day, you will notice something small. A day when you think about it and your chest doesn't tighten as much. A day when the memory comes and goes like a cloud, instead of a storm. A day when you realize you've gone an hour without replaying it. A day when you laugh and it feels natural. That's healing. Not dramatic, not loud, not perfect, but real. So if you feel stuck, I want you to hear this. You don't have to escape your pain in one leap. You just have to stop walking back into the places that keep hurting you. That's not running. That's self-respect. That's protection. That's you choosing a future where your peace matters. And that choice made again and again is how you come back to yourself.